The Eminence in Shadow episode 11, and in this previous to last episode, so many things happen in the episode that it is actually hard to explain in a couple of words what exactly this episode was about, because I guess you all agree that so many things in this episode went in so many different directions that putting a simple word or a simple couple of words into describing this episode is tougher than it seems, because like I said already, so many things went in different directions that, well, it can become a lot of things. And one of the most surprising things that happened in this episode was the fear challenge, where you go into the woods with a pair, in this case with a female pair, and try to, take the fear challenge, the supposedly fear challenge, in where you are supposed to basically be strong. I mean, this always happens in a lot of animes. We always see this test of courage type of episodes in other animes, but as always, I always say this, in Fuufu Ijou they did it in a different way, because first of all, the test of courage itself only lasted like about 1 or 2 minutes. In other episodes, or I should say in other animes, this type of episode would last all the episodes, all the 24 minutes, but in Fuufu Ijou this test of courage only lasted like about 2-3 minutes, something like that. So yeah, that is actually pretty curious and pretty interesting when you think about it, because it went in a different direction. And second of all, because, well, the parents, Akari and Minami and Shiori and Jirou, well, of course that is expected to happen, but the way they handle it, the way they handle the interaction, the way they handle them being together was really surprising, because it only lasted, again, so little. I mean, the interaction between Shiori and Jirou was very short, was very fast. One would expect this type of episode to make Shiori and Jirou a little bit closer, but no, we actually see that the scene where they were actually in the test of courage only lasted about 1 minute. In fact, it only lasted about a couple of its scenes, because that was the only thing we saw. So yeah, actually surprising that aspect of the episode. And I think the most important thing is what happened at the ending in both sides, because in one side we have Akari finally confessing, or somewhat confessing, to Minami that she actually likes him. The answer from Minami was actually surprising. His answer was that he already knew that Akari liked him. So yeah, that was actually surprising when you hear about it, because you would expect Minami to be surprised. I mean, to be honest, Akari didn't really want to confess to Minami, but she sort of did. I mean, she halfway did, and Minami quickly understood that Akari was trying to confess to him. And of course, Akari was sort of happy, but at the same time surprised that Minami already knew that, well, she liked him. And because of that, like I said, she was relieved, because now that Minami knows that she likes Jirou, she doesn't have to explain anything. And she's also relieved because, well, now Minami has turned her down, which is kind of surprising, because one would expect Akari to be kind of, down, kind of sad, because, well, Minami has just turned her down. He said that he has another person that, well, he liked. And yeah, one would expect Akari to be all sort of down, sad, and things of that nature. And I mean, in some way she was, but at the same time you could say that she was more relieved, that she was more happy, because at the end of their conversation they were talking, well, I mean, they were chatting normally as nothing happened, which is actually really good, because that made Akari, well, feel good. Not only that she now can focus solely on Jirou, but also that she doesn't have to, have to carry the weight that she likes Minami and things of that nature, because now she knows that, well, she doesn't have to lie to herself that she likes Minami, because after this episode she already knows 100% that she doesn't. She also doesn't have to worry about Minami liking her, because she also knows that Minami doesn't like her. She has basically solved all the problems that were in her mind regarding Minami, because of course she also has still the problem regarding Jirou, in the sense that she still has to convince him to like her instead of Shiori. She still has to convince him that she actually likes him, actually like him, and that she's not just playing with him. So yeah, like I said already, in the sense of Minami, that was actually a really great episode for Akari, because she's now relieved. She now can focus on another thing. And yeah, I really like this interaction between Minami and Akari. This is something very unique to Fuufu Ijou, or More Than a Merry Couple But Not Lovers. This is actually really interesting, really good, really special because you don't see this type of stuff in other animes, in the sense that the female protagonist, you know, her past love interest, the interaction, the way she finds out that, well, she's not going to like him anymore because of this reason or that reason, it's always handled very well abruptly. Because yeah, in any other anime, the female protagonist finds out that she doesn't like her supposedly love interest, you know, maybe she finds out that he is not that person that she thought he was, because, you know, maybe he has some dark secret or something like that. So yeah, it is actually refreshing to see in this anime, you know, in Fuufu Ijou, the female protagonist Akari finding out or coming to terms that she doesn't like Minami, the male rival protagonist. She finds out and they come to terms. You know, it is actually really smooth, really refreshing, really adequate. You know, it is a, I guess you can say, adult conversation they had, and they resolved it very well, which we should all appreciate more. And then in the other side we have Jirou and Shiori, which, I mean, this is really confusing. This is really hard to explain exactly what happened between them two, because in this same episode Jirou goes from showing the most advancement he has had towards liking or showing progress towards liking Akari instead of Shiori, and at the same time at the end of the episode we have them two kissing. So but yeah, let me explain first what happened exactly in the part of Shiori and Jirou's side. We have that Jirou is trying to find Akari because he finds out that she's lost, or he hears that she's lost, and well, he goes searching for her, and Shiori notices it and also goes after Jirou. This is actually pretty surprising because we haven't seen this type of action from Jirou towards Akari, especially when you take into the context where it was in this episode, because Jirou could have been with Shiori just chilling, especially when it was mentioned to them that yeah, they were going to come back, that nothing bad was going to happen. But still, after all of that, Jirou decided to go after her. So yeah, that is actually pretty strong evidence of the actions that Jirou took towards Akari, because he clearly demonstrated that he wanted to be more with Akari, or that he cared more for Akari than Shiori at that time, which, like I said already, is actually at first, because we haven't seen him in that spot having to decide between Shiori and Akari. So yeah, he went to try to save Akari, and when he found out that, well, Akari was with Minami, you know, having a talk, he was actually pretty, you know, sad, because he wanted to be the one to save Akari. He wanted to be, I guess you can say, the hero. So yeah, he was actually pretty sad, and it was actually Shiori that told him that. And because of this, Shiori and Jirou sit down to have a talk, and all that time when Shiori is talking to him, she can clearly see that Jirou is really preoccupied for Akari. He's really sad. He's really just thinking in general about Akari. He's not really following the conversation. He's not really there with Shiori. And yeah, she notices that. And this is the strongest second clear evidence that Jirou is thinking more about Akari than Shiori, although Shiori is right there by his side. So yeah, pretty strong clear evidence that Jirou is clearly leaning more to choosing Akari instead of Shiori. But at the same time, like I said already, at the end we have the kiss, which put all the things that I just said into doubt, because well, why would he kiss Shiori if he's more preoccupied with Akari, if he likes more Akari than she does Shiori? And well, I guess there could be a couple of explanations for this. For example, the first one is the most simple one, is that, well, it was actually Shiori that went for the kiss that caught him by surprise. So yeah, it wasn't like he was all over Shiori, like he was in the mood to kiss Shiori, because he wasn't actually in that mood. He was all the time thinking about Akari. It was actually, like I said already, Shiori that went in for the kiss, and maybe that caught him by surprise. So yeah, maybe that kiss is not as indicative that Jirou liked Shiori as many people think it is, because you have to analyze the context in which it happened. But I guess if one were to say that, well, it was actually Jirou that actually wanted to kiss, even though it was Shiori that caught him by surprise, and you could say, well, yeah, but Jirou could have evaded the kiss or something like that. And if I were to give or allow that explanation, well, I would explain it as, because, well, Jirou at that time clearly thought that Akari was interested in Minami. He clearly didn't know what was happening in the other side. He didn't know how Akari was feeling. He didn't know that Akari was actually determined to be with him now. So yeah, it could be that. It could be that he was resigned at that time. He thought that Akari, well, now was having a good conversation and was advancing her relationship with Minami, when we all know that was not the case. So yeah, it could be actually that he simply gave up because he thought of things that were not actually happening. Of course, like I said already, that explanation only applies if Jirou actually wanted to kiss Shiori when Shiori went for the kiss. There could be another explanation, which is the simple explanation, which is that Jirou wasn't actually in the mood, that Jirou was actually caught by surprise by Shiori. I mean, I don't know, there could be multiple explanations if you really think about it, but I mean, even after this episode, I still think that Jirou likes Akari more than Shiori. There were strong evidence in this episode that that was the case, and even after this kiss that they had at the end of the episode, I still won't think that will be enough to sway Jirou to liking more Shiori than he does Akari. I still don't think that will be enough, because at this point in time, I think there's no going back for Jirou into liking Akari. That will be the ultimate, I guess you can say, evidence, the ultimate test when Jirou still likes Akari after this kiss, because after this kiss between Shiori and Jirou, what is there more to put into test for Jirou to clearly demonstrate that he likes more Akari than he does Shiori? So yeah, I guess you can see this also as the ultimate test, as the ultimate evidence that after this kiss nothing will change. Jirou will decide to go with Akari and that will be it. So yeah, pretty good episode. A lot of things happening in this episode, multiple directions, multiple things happening at the same time. It was really surprising overall, which is something that I really like about this episode. And let's see how the next episode ends, because the next episode is the last episode. So yeah, definitely expect the next episode to be really epic, really high in emotions, really high in interactions, really high in the feelings. There is going to be a lot of those things, so prepare yourself for the next episode. So yeah, I think I said everything that I wanted to say about this episode. I hope you enjoyed my review, and I guess I'll see you all in the next final episode review.